Is life the bedrock of song, or song the bedrock of existence, excavated from a cavern of unvoiced wails? The protracted echo of a ram's horn gripping the top of a mountain unto the bowels of a doubled-over earth, quadrupled in contractions that stay the course of days, weeks, months, lifetimes groaning, faith and fear in tandem, voicing memorial in silence. Before we come to the page, before the first word is ever written down or read or listened to, there is a longing to connect. My name is Charlie Mehrhoff, your host here at Before the Page, a podcast featuring poetry, parable, fiction, and words to echo our longing. Welcome. It's our 16th episode of Before the Page, November 26th, 2025. Our theme today is tribulation, which defined as a cause or state of great trouble or suffering. Yet, we're not here to harp upon trouble or suffering. We know they exist. The question is how and where do we find the strength to offer meaning? So today we want to draw attention to the attitude of perseverance, often subtle, of transcending tribulation, to showcase voices that bring balance and some sense into this world. Poet and novelist Charles Reznikoff was a lawyer who lived in Manhattan. He was fond of going on long walks. These are some excerpts from his A Short History of Israel, Notes and Glosses, 1941. A dead gull in the road, the body flattened and the wings spread, but not to fly out of the dust over the waves. And a robin dead beside a hedge, the little claws drawn up against the dusty bundle. Has there been a purge of Jews among the birds? I will go into the ghetto. The sunlight, for only an hour or two at noon, on the pavement, here is enough for me. The smell of the fields in this street, for only a day or two in spring, is enough for me. This peace is enough for me. Let the heathen rage. They will take away our cakes and delicacies, the cheerful greetings, the hours of pleasant speech, the smiles, and give us back the sight of our eyes and our silent thoughts. They will take away our groans and sighs and give us merely breath. Breathe deeply. How good and sweet the air is. Hanna Yerushalmi is an ordained rabbi. She lives in the eastern United States. Hanna has written 3 books of poetry related to life and the loss of it in Israel since October 7th. The titles are Strip of Land, October Shiva, and Let Us Be. She has been most generous in allowing Before the Page to present her words here. The first piece of Hanna's that you will hear was composed almost a year ago for Omer Nutra, who, when it was learned that after more than a year of thinking that Omer was alive and had been taken hostage, that he had actually been killed on October 7th and his body had been taken to Gaza. Omer did come home, finally, after 758 days in captivity. The not knowing place. We didn't know you died that day. Maybe you didn't even know. And maybe in the not knowing, we kept you breathing and alive, where you could visit us in the nether space. And how you touched us there in the in-between, in that sacred space, bringing forth wells of longing for you, binding your soul to ours, and also how your return, the mere hint of it, revived us. But today, we know you died that day. We know. We don't want to know, but we know. There's no maybe anymore, just a pile of rocks where our heart is. And what are we to do with all these feelings gripping us for months? Look high and low. Find the map that will take us back to that place, the non-knowing place, and also to yesterday, where we kept you breathing and alive, where we could still dream of your return. This is entitled Let Us Be, composed 12/22/24 by Hanna Yerushalmi. It should be simple, an answer to this prayer. Let us be, let us be. We are so few in number, just trying to count our days. We want to go out in peace, work a little, laugh a little, and return safely back to take a lover's walk by the bordered sea, whispering words of tenderness, to dance again under a quiet sky, making promises of a life to come. Let us be, let us be. We want to gaze at a child's face lit up by the candle's flicker. We want to plant rows of trees to shade the small white house, to sit at the worn kitchen table, peeling cucumbers for a salad, to pass the years growing thick and old like the cypress trees that sway in the wind. Just let us be. Let us be. This piece of Hanna's was inspired by a former hostage of Ur who tried to escape the tunnels by digging for weeks. He said, I made myself work to change my own destiny. It's entitled Touching a Tree Root. Things he learned from those volumes of darkness, how to dig and dig in search of sweet light, how to rein in his massive anger, how to fold patience into his every moment. Things he learned from that endless darkness, how touching a tree root felt like life in a place of death, how bending seeds of anger into compassion fed his survival, how leaning on patience while treading in waves of disbelief saved him. Things he learned buried in foul dirt, cut off from his nation, befriending the centipede who happened nearby, that touching a tree root brought him impossible joy in the understanding that this too shall pass. Things we learned from you, the primal will to live resides in each of us, and gratitude is touching the root of a tree. Here are some words from Rav Kook, translated by Bezalel Naor. Should I stop searching for the source of freedom, for the source of my own personal freedom, and the source of the freedom of the entire world? I shall not cease. I shall not be lazy, nor shall I be taken aback by any fear or foe. The foundation of the redemption and the higher freedom must be revealed. And if it should be concealed in thick fog, in leaden clouds, then, after the sun shining above the clouds, I shall chase and I shall overtake her. And in her rays of light there will be light for me and light for the entire world. Rav Kook wrote those words a century ago. Rav Kook was the first head Ashkenazi rabbi in the land of Israel in the then British Mandate for Palestine. It seems paradoxical that a mystic poet should hold such an administrative position. Yet there are some who take that as a sign, as Rav Kook always had his ear to the ground, so to speak, listening for the Messiah's footsteps. For this reader, our next writer, Chaya Gispan, like Rav Kook, never ceases in a search for the source of freedom. Ora is a citizen of Mother Earth. She calls several places home: Brooklyn, Jerusalem, Sedona, to name a few. It is a great pleasure to read 3 of her poems here on Before the Page. Mother to Mother. When the dark becomes your light, in the dark, because memory is obscured under the rubble of rupture, the anguish of perceived extinction becomes a candle for the cause of recollecting a broken part. We are all grieving, human sobbing, replaying the memory of being sundered from the source. Mothers of the world, rise. Mothers of the world, rise. Let our bleeding heart open to birth anew a world in which we all have the courage to embrace as sisters, as a body of parts with one human pulse. There will be only the demise of illusion and the image of God on the face of every child and a home in every heart. The King and I. Wherever I go, there, here, you are. Wherever I am, you find me. I follow you wherever I can be a shadow of your light. Shade me under the canopy of your crown. Source me like the flame I am. And this here piece of Ora's inspired this episode. Tribulation. Is life the bedrock of song? Or song the bedrock of existence, excavated from a cavern of unvoiced wails? The protracted echo of a ram's horn gripping the top of a mountain until the bowels of a doubled over earth quadrupled in contractions that stay the course of days, weeks, months, lifetimes, groaning, faith and fear in tandem, voicing memoriam in silence. You are about to hear a real-life telling composed by Idit Miriam Codish. Idit is an observant woman who is one of the most down-to-earth writers on the planet today. A truly great talent. Idit is also Director of Development and International Partnerships at the Michal Sela Forum, providing protection programs for women and their children who are threatened with domestic violence. She calls this Hospital Pastiche, November 2024, also known as Waiting, etc. for my father's surgery. My parents and I got here at 7 a.m., and I've been awake since 5:30 a.m. I meant to go to sleep early the night before in preparation, but the bomb siren that went off at 9 p.m. put me on edge, and I only fell asleep a little after midnight. Plus, it was raining, so I got to play that classic Israeli game, thunder or bombs, all night long, which is more fun than one might think. Or maybe I have just lived here too long. So, 7 a.m., I want to be that positive person for my parents. I really, really do. But also, I kind of just want everyone to fuck off, and I also want to sleep another 10 hours and have more coffee and also maybe abandon my entire life and or move to a different country. Everyone in this hospital is a different flavor. The women sport headscarves, hijabs, flowing hair, wigs, and buzz cuts. Most of the nurses are Arabic-speaking men. One of them compliments me on my earrings. Most of whoever isn't speaking Arabic is speaking French. I spot an Ethiopian doctor wrapping tefillin in a stairwell. I'm surprised at how old a lot of the doctors seem. Not to be ageist, but I don't want someone's hands shaking as they cut my father open. They probably know what they're doing, though. It turns out that 7 a.m. was a time made up by the powers that oversee scheduling surgeries, and that we could have actually slept a few more hours. Whatever, but also not, because I am very tired. I buy a disgusting cup of Turkish coffee and pull out my laptop, because I promised work I would work from home, and then it's 8:50 and the bomb sirens start wailing from everyone's phone, from the intercom, from the siren outside. A nurse comes into the waiting room and tells us all calmly, but in no uncertain terms, that we should all get into the other waiting room, the one with the beds in the bays, the actual pre-surgery stop where we should have been at 7 a.m. We troop in there, and I take a selfie of the three of us with our tongues sticking out. Fuck Hamas and Hezbollah and PIJ and Iran and the Houthis and whoever the fuck else. Earlier in the morning. Was there an earlier? This morning? What time is it? I was talking to my brother, who lives in Oregon, telling him how cranky I am. His response, well, also, you've all been living in an active war zone for over a year, and everyone is probably on their last nerve. Me? Oh, I think we passed the last nerve about a year ago. It's weird how many last nerves keep appearing, though. Like you think you're in the last one, but then there's more. An hour later, I send him our selfie and say, when you think you've hit your last nerve, there comes another one. He responds, Hospital Bomb Shelter Selfie sounds like a punk band name. Now it is 10 a.m., and there are multiple doctors and nurses and anesthesiologists disagreeing at top volume in front of us because Welcome to Israel about whether or not my father needs more blood tests and what his temperature is, how much he weighs, and how they're going to do the surgery. My mother suggests to a nurse that they maybe not talk about us in front of us and that maybe these are things to be discussed before the morning of the surgery. The nurse agrees and says to drop a suggestion in the suggestion box. While they are arguing, I see a nurse wheeling a tiny cot out of an operating room, and behind her a slightly stunned-looking man, and in the box there is a brand new, beautiful baby still covered in vernix. Between 10:30 and 2, I try to work through a thicket of human life and emotions. There's a French man sitting next to me. His wife is getting a new knee, and he's sweet, but then there's a Moroccan man sitting next to him who out of nowhere starts a very loud argument about Eli Feldstein and how the leftists are ruining the country and should be jailed and how they're out to frame the right-wing people who should be allowed to just rule everything for all the time, always. And the French man says in the sweetest, gentlest voice, right and left should only really be used to describe which hand you write with. But the guy doesn't get it at all, and when my mother asks him to lower the volume, he snaps, well, you can go sit somewhere else if you don't want to listen, with the kind of venom that contains an unspoken bitch, while the religious nurse in the reception booth screams out, Bibi Hamelech, as if it's a public service announcement. At the same time, there's a religious woman next to me crying and saying Tehillim, Psalms, while her daughter, who I played peekaboo with at 8 a.m., is getting her tonsils out. A secular Arab woman is there too, waiting for her son, a very chubby 5-year-old, to get out of his surgery. When I see him come out, he is very disorientated, trying to jump off the rolling bed and screaming, Abba, unconsolably. And since I know she's divorced, because I've been here since 7 a.m. and I know everything now, my hopes are only that he gets everything he needs. I have no reason to think otherwise, but I am now in a place beyond thought. During all this, I do a lot of research for work, write a full-on grant proposal, follow up on several hanging assignments, have a 30-minute phone call with my boss, and then also a 45-minute Zoom. Also, it's fucking freezing, and all I've ingested is multiple hospital Turkish coffees, and my eyeballs are literally jiggling in my sockets. Sockets? Sockets. Is that a word? It's a good thing I'm in a hospital because I might pass out. Other observations. It takes a certain amount of Israeliness to insouciantly smoke cigarettes in front of the hospital entrance. Maybe that's also a good band name, the Insouciant Hospital Smokers? Hospitals are fucking disgusting. Who wants to ride in an elevator with a giant yellow tub marked biohazard in bright red letters? Old people, stop scrolling TikTok at top volume. We can all hear you, and it is beyond annoying. At 2 p.m., my father is out of surgery. They couldn't do it laparoscopically. So they're keeping him sedated and intubated until tomorrow, which means I sat through all of it and won't even get to see him. Just the waiting, the war, the coffee, the noise. I gather my things, laptop, half-dead phone, the slimy layers of other people's fear. I head toward the train through yet more rain and pray I don't slip if the sirens start again while I'm halfway between one form of shelter or another. There are no lessons here, just a nation unraveling inside fluorescent-lit waiting rooms, a baby wheeled into the world beside a man intubated out of it, a nurse screaming Bibi Hamelech into the abyss. There are no lessons, only the echo of a child calling for Abba in a language older than the missiles, only the sound of my mother's voice, steady in a room full of shouting, only the sight of vernix on a newborn, steaming under hospital lights, only the fact that everything happens at once, all the time, and none of it waits for your understanding. The coffee sucks. My father's unconscious. Somewhere upstairs, a baby born in a bomb shelter is learning how to breathe. The body breaks open, and the country keeps bleeding, and we keep showing up, shouting and praying, because we don't know what else to do in this country that mistakes exhaustion and noise for life. And I am shattered, and I go home. We're going to end this episode with a Hanna Yerushalmi poem. Said the man with outstretched arms, palms turned up, to the fresh water on his lips, to the feet and feet of air above him, to clean sheets beneath his back, to those cheering in the square, to every soul praying in the pews, to his treasured beloved ones, to the blessed sixth day, to the golden braided loaf, to the body and soul rest of rests, to the loyal people, to the joined nation, to the ancestral land. Said the man, I didn't know it was possible to cherish you more. And the universe responded with a whisper, you're home, you're home. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Before the Page. If you wish to reach out with any comments, suggestions to Before the Page, that's easy enough. Visit us at beforethepage@gmail.com. beforethepage@gmail.com. That's beforethepage@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Be well.